I don't know if you agree with what is called the critical period in language, that you have a critical period when you grow up so that you can learn a language, and if you don't do that by that age, then you don't lose that ability, but it's going to be more difficult. So I would say that now with technology we are influencing that, because now you can see child using iPad and so on.
The answer to that can be extremely complex or very, very simple.
Yeah.
I'll try to find a way of discussing this without actually boring you to death, because that is my area of expertise, which is language acquisition, and especially from a cognitive perspective. Yes, I totally agree that language, spoken language specifically, has a critical period. If we are not exposed to spoken language before a certain age, the capacity to learn it easily declines. And actually it declines, typically it's assumed that around 7 it begins to decline. So, which means it's not that you cannot learn to communicate with other humans after age of 7, but it means that crucially during those first years you have to be exposed to spoken language. I don't think that that applies to reading. Reading, as you said, was not evolved in the brain. We are hacking the brain networks to develop the reading skills. Although also from a cognitive perspective, there are people that have isolated particular areas of the brain that specializes in letters. So it seems that there is some learning a language has some wiring consequences on the brain, but it doesn't follow a strict developmental line that the critical age would give you. Why? Because you have 80-year-olds that learn to read. What we do know is that if you don't have a spoken language, if you don't have human language, you cannot learn to read. So reading is writing on a system, that a network, a brain network, that is being used for spoken language. Yeah. So when you are asking how technology is affecting children and they are developing a language, we cannot say that there is a direct line between, or correlation between developing reading skills and the use of technology. But it could be a little bit indirect, because being absorbed by this technology restricts what we do as humans with other humans. It could be that actually we are not developing, or children are not developing, the necessary basis for all the aspects of human language that then we are allowed to hack so that we can develop better reading skills. How do we know that, or how I make that inference, is that we have dyslexic people. Dyslexic people find difficult to learn this decoding system that we call reading. We know that there is something in the brain that doesn't allow that reading development. But these people still have language. So we see how we can decouple spoken language from writing or written language. Once again, I think that basically technology is not affecting our reading skills directly, but it's especially when we're talking about children. I think that probably adults is a completely different story, but it's affecting these more basic
fundamental
skills that basically we need to have completely automatized so that we can access higher level of thinking processes, and so everything that higher levels of thinking processes allow us to do. Critical thinking, empathy, etc., etc.
This problem is barely new, I would say. Facebook came to the iPhone like in 2010, 2011.
Okay.
And
so you're talking about social media.
And that was the peak. Also, I read an article that they found an anxiety peak in 2011, so they believe that there is a correlation between when the Apple Store came out and anxiety and so on. But that is another topic. Actually, that was the two main topics that we were going to argue today. So thank you very much for being here and for your time. And I hope you find this interesting, and I hope you really learn something.